Welcome to GeoScope, your pit stop for power, policy, and the pulse of global industry. Today, we're diving into a trade war that's shaking North America's economic engine, the 2025 nickel tariff clash, where Washington's gamble meets Ottawa's counterpunch, and the future of electric vehicles hangs in the balance. When tariffs hit nickel's core. For decades, Canadian nickel quietly fueled Detroit's EV boom, from Sudbury's mines to Tesla's packs and GM's Ultium cells. By 2024, $3.9 billion worth of nickel crossed the border each year. But in August 2025, new tariffs of up to 30% hit not just China, but Canada too. The result? A cost explosion. Each EV battery uses about 38 kilos of nickel. That's roughly $775 per pack, and tariffs added nearly $250 more, slicing GM's EV margins from 10% to barely 8.5%. Multiply that across entire production lines, and billions disappear overnight. Consumers felt it instantly. Analysts warned of 94,000 fewer EV sales in 2026. Ford's F-150 Lightning jumped from $67,500 to $72,500, putting it out of reach for many buyers. Gas trucks suddenly looked like bargains again. What was billed as a job-saving tariff became a margin killer, and Detroit's EV dream started to wobble. But Canada? It didn't stall. It shifted gears. Canada's Counterstrike Ottawa skipped the speeches and went straight to action. In July 2025, 4 bold policies reshaped the trade battlefield. A 15% export tax on raw nickel, limiting cheap U.S. access. A carbon tracking system that favored Ontario's hydro-powered green nickel. A $257 million fund for lithium iron phosphate batteries, cutting nickel reliance. Tax breaks to lock in Stellantis LG's Windsor Gigafactory and protect Canadian jobs. By the end of July, analysts projected $1.8 billion in redirected trade toward Europe and South Korea by 2027. Then came the knockout. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced a $5 billion Buy Canadian program, pushing domestic sourcing for steel, aluminum, and nickel, while America's market share shrank. This wasn't revenge, it was strategy, turning Washington's weapon into Ottawa's edge. And just as Canada strengthened its position, another threat loomed. Carbon penalties. Tariffs were only the opening blow. In 2026, the EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism hits, charging $115 per ton of CO2 embedded in imports. That's a nightmare for automakers using nickel from Indonesia or the Philippines, where emissions run 9 times higher than Ontario's. Dirty nickel means costly carbon fines. GM and Ford, already squeezed, could lose Europe, one of the fastest-growing EV markets. Meanwhile, Canada's green nickel, clean, hydro-powered, and traceable, is gaining ground fast in Germany and South Korea. Add Russia's war, Indonesia's deforestation, and China's refining dominance, and America's tariff move looks less like protection and more like self-inflicted pain. But then, just as tensions hit their peak, a glimmer of compromise appeared. On September 5, 2025, President Trump signed an order allowing tariff exemptions for aligned partners. Nickel was included, but Canada's slot wasn't guaranteed. Carney countered fast, pausing Canada's 20% EV mandate and launching another $5 billion fund to buffer against tariffs. It was a message, we're ready to deal, but not to kneel. With 85% of bilateral trade already tariff-free under USMCA, nickel might soon regain its lifeline status. Still, uncertainty lingers. Analysts put the odds of a full deal at 60%, with Wall Street betting on a partial rollback. GM has already trimmed its 2026 EV forecast by 15,000 units, a $3.2 billion hit. Negotiations are underway, but Detroit can't wait forever. And that raises the final question: who really controls nickel's future? Nickel isn't just a metal, it's geopolitical power. And right now, Canada holds the advantage. Deals with Seoul and Hamburg have diversified Ottawa's buyers. Europe craves clean supply. South Korea's imports are already up 20%. Canada isn't waiting for Washington's approval, it's moving on. At $20,000 per ton, nickel powers EVs, aircraft, and defense systems. If the US doesn't want our nickel, said Mark Selby of Canada Nickel, Europe will. For America, losing secure supply to Russia or Indonesia isn't just economic, it's a national security risk. Rising EV costs could turn electrification from a mass shift into a luxury movement. Canada has cemented itself as the green supplier of choice, while the US faces a crossroads: compete or concede. Verdict: the nickel gambit. What started as a tariff to protect jobs has instead boomeranged, raising costs, cutting sales, and pushing allies away. Canada doubled down, diversifying, innovating, and turning resource policy into leverage. Now the US must decide: work with its closest ally to secure a clean, stable EV supply chain, or cling to protectionism and watch Europe and Asia surge ahead. Nickel, once hidden underground, now defines the balance of power above it, shaping economies, alliances, and climate goals alike. So, will Washington blink first? Can Detroit recover its EV momentum before it's too late? Let's talk below. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit that like button and subscribe to GeoScope, where global trade, tech, and transformation meet every week. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next deep dive.